All right. It is 7 PM on Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. We're going to open the administrative board meeting. Roll call, please.
I have trustees, Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
William Luxinger is absent, Nathan Moss,
Here.
Jen Christensen,
Here.
Bill Motisi,
Here.
President Rick Worm,
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onabaty, here, I clerk Sandy Monson here, and Public Works Supervisor Brett Birdie.
Here. All right, first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have 3 items on there this evening. Item 1 is the April 26, 2022 administrative board minutes. Item 2 is the bills payable warrant list dated May 24th, 2022 for a total of $89,248.34. And number 3 is approval of outside meeting pay for elected officials, total $100. At this time, do any of the board members wish to remove any of the 3 items for further discussion? First motion.
I move to pass agenda items 1, 2, and 3 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as the consent agenda.
Second.
Jen makes a motion to place items 1 through 3 inclusively as a consent agenda. Nathan seconds.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and William's absent.
Motion passes 702. Second motion.
I move to adopt items 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code.
Second.
Jen makes a motion to adopt items 1 through 3 inclusively as the consent agenda. Nathan seconds. Roll call, please.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William's absent, Jen.
Yes.
This is also at 702. We do not need item C. Excuse me.
That gentleman.
Okay. And underneath me, we do not need who's under me. They're not coming.
Because it's nobody here.
Yeah, they contacted me earlier and said they'd reschedule.
And so that we will move on to Sandy.
So the first thing on there is discussion on maintain natural areas or native planting areas. I had a resident reach out to me interested in knowing if the village board would adopt an ordinance to allow such a thing in replacement of mowing. So I did talk to our in-house arborist, and Nate Hill told me that this is common in some municipalities, but it's not as easy as people think. It's not you just quit mowing. It's you have to have certain plantings and they must be maintained, and you can't let it become weeds. And there are restrictions on it, its size, where it can go, and its maintenance. I told the resident that I would ask you guys first off if it was something you're even interested in looking into before we spend any time or energy on it, time, money, or energy on moving forward with such a thing. In this scenario, it is a business that has land behind their property or behind their main structure, in which they don't use for anything. And so they just have to maintain grass at this point. And so they're interested in maintaining a prairie area instead.
Yeah, what if they could do a community garden?
That actually might be a good offering.
You don't have to give it away. You can just let people use it for a
Yeah.
community garden.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then they could do the other areas for the prairie land or
Well,
However they
right now,
feel.
our
however they
ordinances don't
feel
allow
planting
it.
The
necessary.
prairie option sounds like it'd be a lot of work for us
Work,
to
yeah.
enforce.
Well,
We have to go make sure it's not full
it
of
is.
weeds. It has the right stuff in it.
that it's just
and-
not tall grass.
Right,
over
and
there.
I don't think they understand what they're gonna have to do to get it there, because they're gonna have to have the right vegetation.
And Nate Hill mentioned that. He mentioned that a lot of people assume that when you say you just want it to go to prairie grass, that you maybe just sprinkle some seeds and call it a day. And he
Mm-mm.
said that is not at all what's involved. And it is like a lawn, you're just not mowing it, but you
Right.
still have maintenance that has to occur.
I'm fine with the way it is right now.
It would be easier to mow it. I'm telling you, it'd be a lot
I
easier.
agree.
I worked for the state parks a couple years when I was in college, and they planted portions of it in the prairie grass, the native prairie grass, or
Illinois
however
prairie.
they want it, right? Historically, how it was before we ever got here. And it was difficult. It's not easy.
I mean, I'd be fine adopting something if there was rules of, an agreement that was kept up to put in the work. I mean, if you were just gonna let it go,
Or that it's,
then.
again,
No.
inspected by a third party, that we're not out there checking the thing out.
Right.
You pay for the third party,
Right.
make sure it's up to.
Yeah.
Well, I just
Can't
think it
always-
would give a lot of other people the idea that it's
Yes.
okay to.
Yes.
Right,
Exactly.
and then you still have the issue with rodents. Fall grass, bring
Right.
rodents.
So maybe at this point, I talked to the person who contacted me about, and maybe have a sit down with Nate Hill to talk about what that would actually look like, and maybe they discuss the maintenance of that before.
And cost.
And it may be something that just dies on its own then. And maybe even
Sounds good.
suggest your suggestion of community garden.
Seemed like a good idea.
I mean, community gardens is another idea. I mean, it's-
Yeah.
They're popular community gardens.
People don't have the property, and if somebody has spare and
I think that's
Yeah.
Mulford near,
Yeah, Mulford has about the churches. over there.
yeah, I see,
Started
Stillman's doing it
one.
too. The
I-
fire department started one
I
too,
come that way every
Their
once in a while,
building
there's people out there.
FFA.
or FFI or whatever, but it's on the side of the.
Just see where they go.
All right, all right, I'll have
Let
a,
them figure out what they want to do with their own.
okay, I'll share that with them.
So we just give them a bunch of ideas.
So
Let's
I,
not.
I think that sitting down with Nate would be helpful for them to determine whether or not it's even feasible. I
Well,
suspect
it could
after
come
that
down where we just
discussion,
said
it's
no.
not. And that may be part of it too, but again, I think they're thinking it's a lot easier than it is. So the 117 Prairie Moon, you guys had asked me when the property did not sell, to contact Habitat for Humanity to see if they were interested in the property. The gentleman who is their property locator on the board is interested. He looked at the property this last week or this coming week. He's looking at it. And his board meeting, I think, is the first Thursday in June. So he's going to bring back this to his board at that time. I did discuss that it's not an easy donation from us because we have to still go through the legal steps. But the board is interested in that being the end result. So he's going to talk to his board and then get back to us. He did say that they've been doing a lot of building in the Rochelle area simply because that's where they're getting the land donation. But the gentleman who does the recruiting for them lives between Byron and Stillman, and so he's very interested in also getting new families up in this area as well.
I think those to a family then in need.
Yes,
Right.
but they have to help build it. They don't just give
Oh,
it
that-
away. Like Habitat for Humanity requires that the person who is going to acquire the property put in X amount of hours of work.
That's probably on the
property.
inside though, maybe the outside.
Whatever they're capable of.
No,
But
that's-
I think it
that's-
goes to capability, because
yeah.
I've seen even they have the families where the children will help paint and things like that. So they're very all.
That's good.
inclusive.
That's
Everybody.
sweat
puts
equity.
in.
Community volunteers time and effort too, so it's
Little
something
sweat
that
equity.
we could give back to, so.
Yep. So I'll let you guys know when I hear back from them, but I wanted to give you guys. an
Rick could
update.
probably do the patio.
And then, just so you guys are aware, our administrative assistant, Sarah, is going to leave us. Her last day will be June 3rd. She's going back to teaching again, so. Just wanted everybody to know. So Brenda and I have decided for the month of June, it will just be her and I in the office as we kind of figure out where Brenda's new role is full-time and what we can handle and not handle. And then we'll start advertising though in June for hopefully hiring somebody in July.
We are gonna restaff it part-time.
It'll still be a part-time individual. Brenda and I are just struggling. We're learning on what I've been doing that Brenda can now do, and what, now that she's here full-time, she can take over some of the things that I was doing, and then take over some of the things that the administrative assistant was doing that are banking that Brenda could go back to doing. So we're just learning where all our new roles are within the office. So I want to make sure that we've got that down pat before we toss somebody into the mix
Well,
again.
That's very good thinking rather than just jump on somebody you may not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that we're training them for the things that we need them to do and not a bunch of things that they may never need to do again. So I think that's the
Very
plan
nice.
for now. And that's all I have.
All right. Brenda?
In the board packet, I have the treasurer's report for April 30th in there. This is the new report from the new system. So if you have any questions, let me know. That's all I have.
All right. Move on to committees. Jen?
Next week, we have the blood drive, which is going to be from 3 to 7. And then we will have the garage sales on June 9th, 10th, and 11th, along with other things going on. They're doing the Chat Fest in Stillman.
Would you like me to read off what I've got?
That's fine.
Give me 1 second.
I know it's the kickball tournament, the craft fair at the junior high, vendor fair. I see, I was trying to do this off the top of my head.
So JC's is gonna have a $6.10 or $6.10 special. DJ Liquors is gonna have a $6.10 special. FNS has got a whole slew of $6.10 specials for like $6.10 for personal pan pizzas, and then some kids and coloring activities and a bunch of things down there. Fitness Junction is putting something together for us, and so is Benny's. And that's just here in town. And then in Stillman, I want to say it's Tees is doing something, Fritz is doing something, the Rack on 72 is doing something. I'm sure that I am missing somebody in there. Let's try to find my list that I sent. And then in Byron, the chamber is gonna give out, they're gonna be selling Byron, was it Byron
Byron
Fest?
Fest.
Fest, I think for $6.10, and McDonald's is gonna have a special, and Uptown's gonna have a special, and Byron's got a whole list of business.
So visit our local businesses.
Yes, yes. See if I can finish finding that. Oh, here we go. So McDonald's is going to be in there. Byron Fest buttons will be on sale at the chamber office for $6.10. Eaton Speaks will have circus theme activities. The Byron Museum of History will have free admission giveaways and discounts. Holcomb Bank and Byron will be doing cookies. Stillman Bank is doing the Shred Day. Velvet Poppy will also have a discount. Yvonne's list, of course, is not on the same email thread. As I said, it's been, I think we have been very successful in acquiring businesses to help out with us.
Pleasantly surprised as many as people that have jumped on board.
Here it is. Stillman's is Fritz, The Rack, Black Pearl Coffee, Legacy Barn Gaming, La Rosa's Teas, and the White Church.
What is the rack?
The Rack on
That's
72, it's
true.
near the old.
Used to be the East End.
East End.
Oh, it's a restaurant?
Yes.
It's, yeah, it's,
Yeah, they've done quite a bit of work there.
I haven't been there.
Yep. So we've got quite a few businesses that are participating.
and then along with, after the garage sales, we will have the electronic recycling on the 12th, and that's gonna be at the maintenance building, correct, Curry?
Yes.
Yep, at the Public Works. And then we will have the bulk garbage on, following on June 15th, which will be that next Wednesday. Excuse me. And then we will be having our fireworks, followed by the movie in the park on July 3rd.
What was the movie?
Sing 2.
Sing. Never seen Sing one.
All you
Rick,
need-
will you
We
be,
got some time.
Rick, you'll be at the festivities, to
Why
get
not?
everybody up, get them excited.
Oh, yeah. Try to get Jen on the mic again.
Why did you want to do it?
I
I'm
don't
sure he
even need
would.
a mic.
No, I just like to freeze my hand, getting pop out of the cooler all night.
Don't need a mic.
Yeah, that was-
But that is all I have.
All right. You have anything for William in finance?
Nothing.
Okay. Bill?
Let's see, just some sort of issues for safety, reference traffic. And then there's some dog issues. And just want to people to be aware of, the changes that we're going through out there in the seasons, and everybody feels like you have to get out there and spread their wings, and just want you to enjoy it, and be safe. So that's all I can say at this point. Let me see what else. I don't know if I've missed anything or not. It's been a pretty busy day. Anybody else have anything for me? That's good. My desk is loaded.
Good.
Yeah, see, I'm trying, I'll probably remember it before the end of our meeting tonight. I'll see.
John?
I have nothing this evening. Nate's gonna have an update on our pond project, I believe the first meeting of the month, so. Look forward to that, everyone. I think he might work with Sandy and get something out in the package, so if there's any discussion, we can have it at the appropriate meeting.
Yep.
That's all.
Chris?
Apparently I have something. Something I have no idea what it was. but
Fergie.
Yes.
Fuel management system.
You want to fill us in before we?
Sure, sure.
before I make the motion?
Yeah, no, this is our fuel system, obviously for putting fuel in equipment trucks, that's located over at our shop. This is, we had a 1-year, maintenance program. So this is basically a yearly contract. There were 3, if I remember correctly, there were basically 3 levels. This is the middle, which is, phone support, unlimited phone support, and then the internals of the actual fob system that sits out at the tanks. So if anything breaks inside, this also covers that. So
So we don't pay anything out of pocket.
as, from the way we understand it, that's correct, yes. So
Anybody have questions for Fergie?
We can do it during discussion.
Make a motion. That,
So we'll do it during discussion if they do.
I'll make a motion. To approve resolution number 22-16, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of Fuel Master Fuel Management Systems Extended Maintenance Agreement between the Village of Davis Junction and Syntec Systems Incorporated.
I'll second that, Chris.
So Chris makes a motion to approve resolution number 22-16. John seconds. Is there any discussion?
Do we have a cost on this, savings or
Yeah, it was
expenditure?
in the packet. It was like $1,100. Is
Yeah.
that what it was?
Yeah,
I can't remember. Right.
hold on a second.
All right, I didn't
I
have
had-
the paperwork with me. Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
It is 1,000.
$175.
Yeah, it was in the-
$11.75.
It was attached to the resolution
In the packet.
in the board packet.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to say,
All right, any further discussion?
thank you.
Roll call.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William is absent, Jen,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, I don't know if this really has to, well, I guess it kind of has to do with streets because it's part of the US Department of Transportation, but you know, Sandy forwards me all these emails from Illinois Department of Transportation and the US Department of Transportation. And they have a webinar for Reconnecting Communities Pilot Discretionary Grant Program that I sat in on. And apparently they got a lot of money to give away in the next year, $1 billion in grant over the next 5 years. So they're gonna give out 200 million a year from, this year. Yeah, you know, I sat through the entire hour of it and I'm still not quite understand how you qualify for it, except for that it's discretionary. So I guess they can do what they want with it. But it seemed to me that our program, not a program, our possible expansion of the wastewater treatment and then water to go to the highway might be part of it, because it is reconnecting communities. And that was part of it. And they said projects, not just transportation.
Shovel-ready project?
No,
Oh, good.
because they actually had 50
Thank
million,
goodness.
they had 50 million for planning grants. And there were requirements, you know, the federal share would be up to 80% and you couldn't
Is it needs-based?
not
based
exceed
on
2
the
million.
Income. of
You
the
know, that's a
people?
good question. It is, but they said something about equity in the first
Oh,
5 minutes of it, but they never said that what the requirements were. So it was more vague and more discretionary and, you know, they're not going to be able to fill it all with just that. So it's something we should ask Matt
Was
about
it the
it.
Streets and Roads for All grant?
No, this is Reconnecting Communities Discretionary Grant Program.
Well, Matt, like you say, may have.
There's a website that somebody, if anybody wants to look at, that's www.transportation.gov/rural/grants/toolkits. There's also a website for the specific Reconnecting Communities one. They said they were gonna send out emails for more information, so I'll keep an eye on it, but something we might wanna discuss with Willett Hoffman. Yeah.
Somebody else who does a lot of grants for not any cost to us is Black Hawk Hills. Their sole purpose is they're funded by federal and state dollars to assist communities in access to grants.
They were emphasizing that communities should maybe band together to have projects.
Well, I will tell you, I spent 3 hours in the car with Stillman Valley's mayor, and he's got lots of ideas on things we could be doing. But Black Hawk Hills might be able to assist us in the grants at no cost, and they assist in grant writing and all of that too.
I just wanted to know if Matt knew the requirements for this particular grant.
If
You know,
not,
I assume they get more information, but maybe they don't.
I think he has to ask his grant writers. That's why I suggested maybe reaching out to
Oh.
the Black Hawk. company.
Well, I'll get on these websites and take a look, see, but, you know, I thought that the wastewater treatment and the water, because it seemed like they wanted higher minimum amount of money to be spent. And they had, you know, if they would pay 50% of 11 or $12 million, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. If that was really, you know, a consideration of ours. Anyway, that's all I got. Anybody wants the websites, let me know and I'll
Do you
get it.
want me to forward you my contact at Black Hawk Hills so that
Yeah.
you can just email him and
Yeah.
ask him what he knows?
Yeah, about this particular grant, I'd
Yep.
like to know.
Or really any grant. as I
Yeah.
said, because that's. really
Well, I
what
would,
That's
for
their sole
anything that's
job.
for streets, you know,
Yep.
transportation, but
Actually, I just went into blackhawkhills.com and there's resources and a grant thing, so you can just click down there and see what they need.
just, is that what,
Blackhawkhills.com,
all right,
and there's drop down under resources that says grants, and there's a whole bunch listed.
does it list that one?
Huh?
Community, reconnecting communities.
No, that wasn't.
It's not a Illinois grant, it's a federal grant.
Yeah, they do. I try to remember, but I think they do. funding for
Communities,
those.
facilities, direct loan and grant program.
I don't know, this is a,
That's it's an infrastructure loan, USDA, USDA.
Department of Transportation, Reconnected Communities Pilot Discretionary Grant Program.
It's too
If
bad
anybody
we-
wants the websites, let me know. Just send me an email and I'll forward
Yeah,
you
I
the,
don't see that on here right now.
or if they give it to me, I'll send stuff to you. Anybody's interested. I haven't gotten anything from them yet, but it's only been a couple days and it is a bureaucracy. So there you go. We have anything else, Fergie?
No, I don't believe we do.
Let me reach out, and touch someone.
Seems to be that they put all those grants out there, but then people can't find the information to figure, find out what they need to do.
They
Which is
really-
why I was very interested in Black Hawk Hills. I actually tried to get them to come and talk to you guys. Because they are funded by the government to do grants. to
Right.
Assist communities with these grants.
Well, they made this one pretty vague. And
Well, that's what I'm saying.
well, I just think it was because of the way they, it's such a big bill.
The
infrastructure.
requirements that you have to follow and.
Well, they passed that huge infrastructure bill and
all.
there's just so many requirements and the rest, they make it vague, so.
You can give it out to over there.
Well, it is discretionary, so maybe that's part of the deal.
I'm sure there's an income requirement.
There could be, but it's not like we're high income, we're rural, it says rural. So it's not like,
No,
I mean, our medium income isn't that high.
It's sad that they say rural and then it's like, okay, these small communities don't have the money, you know, they don't,
Right.
the budgets to do certain things and then they want you to have it.
Well, right. And if they want it to be so big, that, I suppose that's why they were telling people to, form coalitions or cooperatives or whatever, however they phrased it, so you could have multiple jurisdictions asking for one and people footing different sections of it and helping different communities and connecting, which was kind of their point.
Well, that means they all have to have a common factor of the same road going through their town.
Oh, it wasn't just roads, it was all kinds of different stuff. Maybe, maybe we could, it said rail and I'm like, wow, can we get a bridge?
Oh, geez, don't start that.
I'm just
conversation.
saying if somebody,
We engineered one time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
About $40,000
that's it.
just for the engineering.
Oh. I was gonna say, how
Then we
much?
did nothing with it.
Yes.
Well, not us. I mean, if,
This wasn't a good idea.
what if we could get them to pay 50% of a,
It started on that side of the tracks and ended up on this side of 72.
Just to save 7 minutes.
7 minutes? It's more than that, dude. It's 6 miles around. 3 one, 3 of the other.
We'll do about 6. Watch
All
out.
right, you done?
Yeah.
All right, Nathan?
No news.
All right.
Continue to go.
Anything from anyone on economic development?
Any idea on Benny's when they open?
That's a
Next
good
couple
question.
weeks.
We'll be for a couple weeks. Anything they
It
need
Hopes to
next
be
week?
open by 6:10.
Did they give us
Oh.
a date yet? Or
Sandy
you're
and
talking
I
about,
are
They're
both
gonna
down
be
next week,
below,
but
so I
nothing's
can't
happening
believe-
next week.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Anything on the Godfather's Pizza and Matt?
no, we don't talk to them.
So.
they didn't
we
give us
do
a
have
firm date?
business-
I'm sorry.
Or the gas station didn't give us a firm date? For
The
the-
gas station doesn't have a certificate of occupancy, so no date.
They would like to.
They'd like one eventually, but yeah, they're not ready to open yet.
I thought
They-
we were
they
gonna have the
still
open
final-
house
They still
pretty
have
soon.
final inspections and everything else to do, so.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, they're doing as good as Lowe's.
that-
Just saying.
Yeah, looks good.
I thought would have been open, but-
So,
So we have no timetable at all for that thing. I
It'll
mean,
probably be the second week of June.
No,
Maybe.
when?
The official maybe on the second week of June.
Second week of June?
Be
Maybe.
done when it's done.
Maybe.
He wants to open as soon as he can, Bill, but it's
I'm
not our
sure.
business, so I can't tell you when he
All
said.
right, we do have a business that has a relative looking to open a business in town. They were inquiring about village land. It is for a towing business, which means they would have a facility with vehicles stored. We have the land along the tracks on 72, but that pretty much is our commercial corridor. But the stuff way in the back wouldn't be so much. I'll just point out what my issues with it would be is the fact that we'd be selling land that could be used for commercial that is not going to bring revenue into the village. There wouldn't be any taxes coming in from that to the village. So using that land for that purpose might be rough. But on the other side of it is it would spur us putting in the infrastructure in there, which would help develop the front side of it, which is along 72. So give it a thought. They were looking at moving relatively quickly.
You're talking about what parcel of land?
So you know where the 24 acres we have on 72, right? Just east of between the heavy equipment and the grain elevators.
Oh, okay.
So that's the parcel we own, but the idea is to have two roads in there, one more to the front, one to the back. And we have a development layout here somewhere for it that was kind of an idea of what the roads could look like.
That land, right behind Jim.
So they would share in the infrastructure.
So move your mouse along where we were looking at.
So D and D
Right
is still
in here.
there. yeah.
That
There,
land starts here.
yep.
This is
That other
our
parcel
land.
was owned by a bank.
Yeah, this is our land, and then the back side of it up against the tracks.
So how do we benefit? How do we make money on this?
We don't.
Then there's
The
no
only thing it
sense.
would force us to do is put in the infrastructure to start getting that ready for development.
But it would make sense, in my
Which-
opinion. to put it
Which
in-
I think we should, because I think we need to spend some money to get,
All of that being
Businesses.
said, two things.
You don't need
One,
them to do it.
two things. One, there is a grant that we have applied for to
Right.
help development of that land. that We
Right.
still don't know if we
Right.
receive.
And we don't know
And
when we're gonna
two,
receive it.
We did not budget for expending those funds in this fiscal year.
Right.
So it is not something that can
Yeah,
occur
so-
this fiscal
And
year.
they're looking for 4 to 5 acres, which would take up about
Yeah.
20 to 25% of it.
How many acres total is it?
24.
Okay.
It's just not a benefit for us.
But I don't see that being good land for us to sell for that purpose.
No.
Not,
No, because you would think if it's gonna be that type of business, you would want like a high fence or whatever.
right, you're gonna want something to obstruct the
To,
view.
right, like this other.
I mean, the reason up at Benny's, we told them they could do it, put the storage sheds back against the,
Track.
because it's hidden by their other business that is out against the road. I just have a hard time with, we have an opportunity to make money on land and
That's just.
Not the right business.
that's not gonna make money for the village. It's not gonna bring revenue into the village or really any jobs, one or two. It's probably gonna be the owner. But if we have any ideas of land that they could get in the area, they are looking at building in the area. I just don't like putting it on the commercial corridor. Be happy to help them, but I just don't know where.
Isn't the other side of the road for sale?
Yeah,
There you go.
as one large
If you wanna buy,
400
buy the whole
acre.
70 acres
Saying it's for sale.
or 270, whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't see giving it away for that.
And that little parcel that's right above the little green parcel there.
Where the farm was?
Yep, that one right there, they want like 350,000.
Yeah, okay.
Where they tore down that farmhouse?
Yep.
And the
Oh.
silo was still there?
Be a good place for driving.
Still says Bennett Farm.
For $350,000.
So, yeah, it's,
Why it's sitting.
well, and being a towing,
It has
company, they don't really need exposure. They need,
I just need storage space, so.
right, so they don't need to be out in the middle where everybody can see them, because nobody's gonna stop in and say, hey, can I get a tow? Because that's usually not what happens in those
The
guys.
stuff on the other side of the tracks isn't enough.
It's not,
I mean, in that weird little,
the Busker property.
yeah,
No.
but that's probably not even really an acre. over
That's
there.
not really.
I don't think it
zoned
is,
for
I think it's like.
anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got the 2 for sale signs on.
Yeah.
So, if you guys can think of any land that's for sale that would help them, reach out to me, let me know, and I'll contact them. I don't really like the idea of putting it on any of the villages'
No, I don't.
property. I just don't think it's a good use of the property we have. When we're trying to create a retail corridor, or a
Right.
services corridor. That's really not the kind of services we're looking for. If you see anything,
Fergie does have one thing unrelated.
okay,
So,
go ahead, Brett.
I'd start eating it already.
Sandy, would you, never mind. So these are two of the three empty basements in Ogle Crossing. I went out there today. I always kind of check those out periodically, and they are now,
Huh?
that's
That
at
one.
least a foot of water, if not a foot and a half of water in two of them. I didn't go check the third one.
Is that a
Um,
fence around it?
That's
No.
2x4s.
Okay.
Who
Sure.
who
That's
built,
what's the. that's
were those
what's
built by
meant for that.
Howlett?
That's, no,
No, those basements were built by Josh Petrie. And then
Cool.
the property is since transferred to a different Petrie.
yes. So these have
Then
been
we
sitting.
need to reach out to whoever it is, tell them they need to secure them.
Well, that is secure by the
That-
standards
yeah.
of the building code. The building inspector inspects them about every couple months.
Sandy and myself and the building inspector have been dealing with these for quite some time now. So
It's secure in what way?
You just have to be able to not fall into the basement. It doesn't mean you have to prevent a small child who's being unwatched from falling in.
or if Sandy brings up the one picture, putting a ladder down in there and climbing down in them.
Yeah.
So
That's not your letter.
that is not. I wish it was, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's a nice ladder.
It's a very nice,
It's a nice
We
folding
did
ladder,
have that
yeah.
conversation too.
yes.
We
So
never-
a couple
Well,
of,
on the bright side, at least they're not connected to the sanitary sewer.
yeah. So a few concerns. One, obviously, there are people or kids or whatever climbing down in these. I don't know if they're doing it while there's water in there.
Some parents.
We have, obviously, if this continues during the summer, these are massive mosquito breeding grounds.
You're
And-
referring to the standing water.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So, obviously, if, like Sandy said, or whoever, if there is a child that does, you literally now it's not just falling on the concrete, it's potentially drowning
We
in
don't
there.
have
Where are these located?
Well, on the
Like,
positive
towards
side, the
back?
water will break.
Yeah,
There.
it's,
Zach?
yeah.
Is he still building?
No,
We
He's
don't
not
have
building altogether?
an ordinance or a
No,
time limit
we
of
don't
from when
really.
you start and pull the basement
we
permit.
do. The permit's been expired for about 2.5 years
Yeah,
now.
these have been here for quite some time.
So what do we, I mean,
Usually the builder comes to us, applies for a new permit, and then they're.
Usually the
building
house
it.
goes up
This-
and that's
A lot of
it.
those
This-
businesses
but I understand
are-
how it usually works, but because it didn't work the way it's usually supposed to, we don't have any
So,
avenue
There,
of.
there,
Let me share the process of how these basements existed.
yeah, what we can talk
So,
about.
the basement was built by Josh Petrie at the same time that he was mass building out the rest of Ogle Crossing. Then litigation occurred between the Petrie family. These 3 lots became entangled in that litigation. At that time, after about 6 months of the litigation going on, these 3 lots ended up being transferred to his brother, Jake
Correct.
Petrie. And so Jake Petrie's entity now owns them. We successfully got a hold of Jake after they transferred into his ownership and a winter or so had gone by and asked him to secure the basements. They have been secured from falling in and dangers of that since that time. At that time, we spoke with one of what was then a successive run of expediters for him that have assured us that he was also lovingly gifted partially built homes that had 2x4s on them in another municipality. And so the goal was to finish those, sell them, and then come finish these. That's been about 1.5 years, 2 years now. And so the properties are secured for the purposes of the building inspector. But at this point, we need to decide, are we going to expend the funds to have the basements removed, them leveled off and leave the property? We need to take some sort of action. They
That
can't
even
continue
legal?
like this.
Why
What-
would
what
we-
are our
why are we
options?
getting involved?
What are our options? for the
Joe
health
has
department
open
with the
basement.
Standing water.
Pardon?
What are options with the health department for standing water?
I don't know if any, nor do I know that he cares.
Can you
And not
throw it-
health department, the owner.
No, I'm just saying, but the health department can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy.
Public health.
I'm happy to ask a trustee to assist in reaching out to somebody about that, but I don't think that that is going to be our strongest recourse,
Can we throw tablets in it like we do when we have standing water?
which
other
is what
places?
I think we've done last.
We
year.
can,
Should bill 'em.
so
Uh,
like Sandy was trying to say, this is nothing new. This is not a short story. This is an ongoing problem. I struggle every season to get them mowed, to maintain the wooden barrier around it. This is an ongoing struggle that I deal with every year. Now we're adding water into that. Yes, we can throw dunks in, but I'm really not comfortable doing that. If there is the potential that kids want to go play in the water. I mean, there are multiple things involved with this that I constantly fight for the last 2-3 years. So,
These are the ones that you and I have been working on before, right? Is this correct?
we might have taken a look at them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of problems in that.
So yes, John, we could, but the simplest thing to do, instead of just throwing dunks in there, would be to pump the water out and eliminate the reason for the dunks.
Mhm.
But
Well-
once again, that would be the village going there and
Yeah.
on property that doesn't belong to us. And so, I mean,
And
it's
are
kind of,
we able to?
How would we put a lien on anything we have to do out there? We go there
I don't know
to
that.
cut grass, we put liens on property. If we pump out
Yeah,
water,
lean or
are
something?
we gonna get liens? You know,
Yeah.
what the heck good is this gonna do us and will it work?
I don't have a good answer, John.
Cause I know that if you don't mow, that eventually the village comes and mows for you,
If we.
right? And then we.
Well, we did that also, and it took, what I have, Sandy, 4 or 5 guys out there for,
There are liens on all existing.
because we had to weed whip it all because you can't put a mower in it.
We already have existing
lots.
liens on all of them.
Yes.
The,
Continue to go
we-
on until
yeah, if
just
we
have
do
the state property.
services that are in accordance with our ordinance and the recourse for our ordinance is a lien, yes. What I don't know is what actions have to be gone through the court system before we can lien and what actions are that, and we have the ability, like our mowing, we have the ability to lean without going through the court system. So it really just depends on what our actions are. And so I guess Fergie and I are asking, what actions do you guys want? Because we can't continue this.
Well, I don't want to spend the money to fill it in.
Well,
We'd lean it if we did, but we'd
That-
end up with begging.
that would be
land.
hard to
Yeah.
do anyway legally.
We went through this.
If we have any liens on the property from anything we do,
I have too many people talking. I'm sorry. I
Let's
think
reach out to Mark down and find out what our options are legally.
yeah, Yeah.
Send me his information. I will try to contact you.
because, you know,
Try.
if we have to take any actions and it might involve liens or, and then, and then these people will owe us money. They can't even function or get any permits or anything unless they square all that stuff away.
yes, that's absolutely correct, but they don't care.
They don't want permits.
And
So-
and honestly, I think what will happen with these three is we will probably end up owning them if we do any action that requires a lien.
But
No, we don't want-
Is that what Glink is Glink told us, give us any options at all yet?
I'm sorry. I have 5 of you asking questions at the exact same time.
Just talk.
What did you ask?
Has Ansel Glink given us any, options?
That's why Rick had just asked that I contact them to find out what they are.
Yeah,
Because we need to find out what, especially that it can turn into a public health hazard with the mosquitoes. We will try and push that as far as we can.
Well, how did we make it other years without it being a
That's all
hazard
right.
for mosquitoes?
We haven't had too much rain in previous years.
That's
We've
kind
done
of-
already this year.
It's kind of been it, and if somebody accidentally like walks by and drops something in there, then that's what's been happening.
They have kind of been draining because if you see the saw cuts in there, that I believe those were the basements where they did the floor and then had to come back in and do the plumbing inspection. So they had to saw cut the floor.
Oh, yeah.
So they did kind of drain, John. You might see an inch or two of water in there on occasion, but it would dry up. No big deal. This is the first I've ever seen them this bad in the last couple of years. And obviously last year's drought, but you know what I mean? I've never seen it like this. And they don't appear to be draining like they did before.
well, we're not gonna be able to get away with this too
Too
long.
many people
If-
talking again. Too many people talking.
So
So we'll wait for the legal advice and go.
Yeah, yeah. And it, because I don't know if it's gonna turn into an attractive nuisance or if it is that right now, that might give us more to work with too. So, but Glink could tell us, I'm sure.
So, the other property in town with the issue, has been posted with a 5-day notice. And then hopefully, somebody else will take care of it, but if not, the village will be paying for fencing.
I still haven't done anything with that.
No,
No.
the gentleman, I did talk to the gentleman who's been attempting to purchase it, and they've been unable to find a time to close. And so I told
Are
him
we
that
talking
we,
about the?
the
fire?
burnt out
Yes.
house. Yeah, and so I informed him that the village would be taking action at this time. And he said, well, if we take action, then he probably won't be able to purchase it. I told him that's not really our responsibility. Our responsibility is the safety of the area. And so that we would be moving forward. So I did post it, or Fergie posted it Monday morning
yes,
with its 5-day notice on the structure. So if we don't hear anything by next Tuesday, Fergie's gonna have temporary fence put up, and then we will try to move as quickly as possible to lean it.
just one thing on the other basements. You know, we want people to build the homes, right? So if
Those
the-
basements aren't usable anymore.
they're not,
oh,
so somebody
They
would
weren't
then have
usable
no
to
comment.
begin with, as Fergie mentioned, when he built the basement, he failed to have a Illinois licensed plumber, and so they had to go back through and dig out portions of the basement and have the saw cuts in the floor that he was talking about in order to have a plumber go in and actually inspect
So
them.
somebody would have to have that concrete removed to build a new house. I mean, that would.
I'm not obviously a structural expert by any means, but I can tell you there's a lot of cracks in that.
Yeah, it's been sitting there too long
So
vacant.
I'm not an expert.
Well, you would think, you know, a foot of water would cause, you know, serious,
Water damage.
right, to the, even to concrete,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But these have been sitting for probably 3 years now.
But I mean, if
Yeah.
our goal
Yeah,
is
those
to
aren't
get people to build
designed to
houses
be
on it, filling it
exposed.
in can't,
So,
gonna.
to the
Well, I
outside
can
elements,
play
like,
this
tell you
song.
the outsides and then.
All right, never mind.
I would not build it.
We
Check
can
my
move on.
number, we'll probably end up-
We have a hard time getting rid of empty
I- I
lots.
would
We're
definitely
having a hard time, with the habitat.
Anything further on economic development? Then let's move to public. Glenda, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything further from board members, officials, employees?
Oh.
We're all is here.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
John makes a motion to adjourn. Chris seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay.
Nate? No,
We are adjourned at 7:47.
Oh.